San Antonio has been my home for more than 20 years. When the Spurs drafted me, I didn't know what to expect.
San Antonio Spurs select Emmanuel Ginobili from Argentina.
But from day one, you welcome me like family. San Antonio and the Spurs have given me everything. The city and the San Antonio community have changed my life. And now it's our turn to invest in the next generation. Together we can do big things. Props A and B are for our kids, for our families, for our community, for our Spurs, for our rodeo, and the heart of downtown. On election day, vote yes on Props A and B. Vote yes for San Antonio's future. Early voting starts on October 20th. Election day is November 4th.
Learn more at howsawins.com.
On November 4th, Bexar County voters will go to the polls to consider two local propositions that have the potential to truly transform San Antonio. Proposition A would revitalize the Freeman Coliseum, the Frost Bank Center, and the Rodeo grounds. Proposition B would use visitor tax dollars to help build a new downtown arena for the San Antonio Spurs and for major concerts. Joining us to discuss these issues are Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai. First of all, Judge, it's great to have you here. I appreciate you taking some time to talk about this issue because despite the fact that we are so close to Election Day, there is still a lot of confusion on what's actually on the ballot. But before we get to Props A and B, I want to ask you, where did the ideas begin to generate from? I know that the rodeo has long wanted more access to the Freeman Coliseum and the Frost Bank Center, but tell me about their needs and the Spurs' needs and how this all came to be.
Great question, Eddie. Let me kind of give the historical context for your audience. First, in my first year as county judge, I had no idea that the Spurs in the city were considering moving out of the current Frost Bank Center to a new downtown arena. Sometime in the middle of that first year, it came out through some, I believe, open records request, and it became apparent that the city and the Spurs, through just informal discussions, were having these talks. I immediately raised a flag for me as county judge that the Spurs have a current contract to the year 2032 with the Frost Bank Center.
And so the county is the landlord.
The county is the landlord, and we've had a very successful run out there since the current Frost Bank Center was built nearly 20 years ago. So from that point, we then came together as a group, the county, the city, and the Spurs, to have that discussion of, okay, you want to leave the current Frost Bank Center, and my first duty was to protect the county facilities. And that's what Essence Proposition Referendum A is all about. County facility means Frost Bank Center, the Joe Harry Freeman Coliseum, and the Coliseum grounds. So the first question I had is, what's going to happen to the county facilities if and when the Spurs do leave? And we didn't know if this was going to come to be at that particular time. And so I immediately, in my due diligence and my fiduciary responsibility, said, all right, what can be the plan if the Spurs leave for those facilities? Because, Eddie, if we do nothing, status quo, wait till it happens, then we have the possibility, or I'll tell you the reality, that the Frost Bank Center become the next Houston Astrodome. And that was totally unacceptable to me, to sit there and just wait and see what may happen.
That's not a good outcome.
That's not. So we kicked into gear. The second major tenant for the county facilities is the San Antonio Rodeo. That's been there forever. And so when we approached the San Antonio Rodeo and said, hey, you run a very successful, if not the best, indoor rodeo in the country, what can you do? Can you create a sustainable business plan that can carry the operational cost of the county facilities? Guess what? The San Antonio Rodeo, the San Antonio Livestock Exposition nonprofit, came up, and we have a design on the books, and that's what Cody Davenport, the current CEO, is actually explaining to the community in regards to referendum Proposition A. The second part was to make sure that the Frost Bank Center, if and when, and now the Spurs have now indicated that they'll probably stay in that facility towards the end, at least probably the year closer to 2032. So we have a 6-year ramp up, Eddie, in order to prepare for that departure. The people ask, so to speak, why should we support this? One is the Spurs and the Rodeo have actually outgrown each other. In order for the Rodeo to have a year-round plan, they really need the Spurs to leave. Now, we certainly do not want them to leave town. And so having the Spurs leave allow the Rodeo, which makes nearly $375 million for 1 month in February. And in that 1 month, they run, as I said, one of the best rodeo operations.
And that's pretty well all they have.
Correct.
In their access to the Frost Bank Center, it's limited to 20 to 30 days, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay.
And so now some people say, how can you have a 1 month rodeo go year round? No, it's the rodeo industry. And the best example, the model we looked at was the Fort Worth stockyards, which really had the same kind of dynamic. A dilapidated old stockyards, put a hotel on that premise. The Drover, I believe, is the name of the hotel. And now it's a thriving economic center in downtown Fort Worth.
And I hear Cody Davenport, who runs the San Antonio Livestock Exposition, I hear him use Calgary as another example.
Calgary, and for those that go to Las Vegas, you go to the South Point Casino Resort Rodeo Arena, where they run rodeo year-round. People don't realize how popular rodeo is in Mexico, Central America, and South America. The cowboy industry is huge. It's bigger than any professional sport, and that's the reason why the rodeo has a sustainable, viable business plan to double their money. That $375 projected by the rodeo can be doubled on a year-round business plan.
Well, both of those are good examples, Fort Worth and Calgary. To your point about rodeo in Mexico, the American rodeo basically stems from the Mexican rodeo. And if you look at all the words that are used in rodeo, like lariat comes from la riata, and when they use the word dolly to wrap the rope around the horn of the saddle, that comes from da la vuelta, give it the wraparound. And so a lot of the terminology stems from what they learned from the original Mexican vaquero.
Correct.
One of my favorite statues is at the Laredo Airport, which has a Mexican vaquero and an American cowboy sharing a cup of coffee over a campfire.
Right.
And it's just, in a border town, it's a perfect example of those two cultures bridging.
And let's not forget the black cowboy and the history there.
Absolutely.
So this is a culturally diverse Western culture that we can bring. And so with Proposition A, I truly believe, Eddie, that Proposition Referendum A is the revitalization of the East Side. So let's go back to the historical context. The Spurs wanted me to call an election earlier this year, and I had decided we didn't have enough information because we were still trying to get some of the details of what this exit would look like and how we would have a successful business plan put in. And so this Proposition A is an opportunity for the East Side to be revitalized. How? One is the Frost Bank Center, and it cannot be status quo and become the next Houston Astrodome. Two is Joe Harry Freeman Coliseum that's run by the CAB Board, Coliseum Advisory Board, is a successful operation. It is with the graduation, car shows, garden shows, all those things that they're running through there. But reimagine the county facilities with the Coliseum grounds, the barns with dirt floors.
Right.
Repurpose them to multi-use. Put in what they call a practice arena for the rodeo so that they can run their year-round rodeos industry. All the cutting horse shows, barrel racing, all the livestock. Oh, guess what? Ultimate bullfighting, which is what I saw at the Fort Worth Stockyard. Let's not even go there. The thing is, it's an opportunity for this community to revitalize the East Side, which is what the anger and the grievance is of the East Side. This was supposedly promised 20 years ago in the creation of then the SBC Center, AT&T Center.
So I want to talk about, the Spurs' need for a new facility, because this is not a situation. One of the, I think, the misnomers or one of the uneducated complaints that I hear is it's a bunch of greedy, wealthy people who want a prettier, nicer, more luxurious facility. This seems to be dealing with the economics of modern day sports and how sports franchises receive their income.
Let's look at Proposition Referendum B, which is obviously the money. And so I understand there are certain people that don't give those Spurs, those rich people, money. Let's acknowledge that we're in a small market. Let's acknowledge that the Spurs are a business. Let's acknowledge that the Spurs bring great value to this community. Let's recognize that the Spurs are a great philanthropic partner in our community, giving back much to the community. And so when we look at through those lenses of what the Spurs give, now let's look at what the term sheet that the city of San Antonio and the Spurs are given. The Spurs are kicking in $500 million toward a Spurs arena. They're the highest level of commitment by the three partners, county, city, and Spurs. 2, the city puts in about $489, and the county will put the $311 with a cap of 25% up to 3. So we have a cap for the county to protect the county taxpayers on their county venue tax, which I'll return shortly. The other aspect of the county venue tax and why we should contribute is that the Spurs are obviously, with the number one player in the world, Wemby, are on a path to championship. Right. They have convinced me that in order to succeed as a business in this community, and we would do this for any business partner, they need community support and they need some public finance for an arena. And so what I also push back, Eddie, is the fact that the Spurs have such a significant value and economic contribution. I pose the question, we cannot afford to lose the Spurs. Now, I will tell you, Peter John Holt is promising they're not leaving town. They want to be part of this community. So I give great value with the $311 million cap, with the Spurs protecting the county with covering all cost overruns.
That's huge.
That's huge.
You don't always get something like that. We're facing a situation right now where we're seeing rising costs through inflation, rising costs because of tariffs, and yet the Spurs have said, doesn't matter what causes the prices to go up, that's our burden.
And that's the economic value, the economic benefit that the Spurs bring. I just came from an economic development trip in Japan. Guess what? In explaining and highlighting the opportunities at San Antonio, they all know about the San Antonio Spurs. And their favorite players are Tim Duncan and David Robinson. And that is an attraction. And we've got 2 Japanese manufacturing industry coming here, not because of the Spurs, of course not. But they know that the San Antonio is a major league city in the sense of what it provides for quality of life. And so I truly believe that we must give great value to the San Antonio Spurs and that this is an opportunity. This is a collaboration between the county, the city, and the San Antonio Spurs for the revitalization of the east side and for the downtown area. The Spurs are, as I said, $500 million for the arena plus $1.5 billion for the development around. That's the same template we did for the new baseball stadium, which we're obviously going to have for the new downtown area too. So we have an opportunity to revitalization of economic development for the east side. What's good for the east side is good for the entire county.
No, that's critical. And I don't know that you would find any argument from that statement. One thing I think where there's still a lot of confusion is that some people think that this is, even though these are county propositions, that this is a city ballot because the city had been talking about Project Marvel, which is the sports and entertainment district and the expansion of the convention center, the renovation of the Alamo Dome, a convention center hotel, and the 5,000-seat theater that's the old federal courthouse. But this is a county election, so as long as you live in the county, anyone can vote.
All county residents can vote on the county venue tax. And let's be very clear, that means obviously the unincorporated areas of the county, and for those that live there, it also means all 26 suburban cities, Alamo Heights, the Elmendorfs, Castle Hills, Shavano Park, on and on. Converse, all of that northeast corridor. Everybody is entitled to vote on this county venue tax. So let's break down county venue tax, Eddie. I know that you didn't ask that, but I think it's important why it is a county issue and why all county residents can vote, and I'm asking them to vote. Understand, I can't tell the voters what to do, whether it's a yes or no, but I can educate and I can correct the record.
Sure.
And I have an opportunity so that the voters can make an educated decision based on the correct facts, the correct figures, the correct information. And so this is an opportunity this afternoon with you today to have that opportunity to do that. So the county venue tax is required by law. It's separate from the city of San Antonio. City of San Antonio does not have to call for an election of their hot tax. The county venue tax consists of the hotel occupancy tax, which is a tourist tax, along with the rental car tax. There is a bold print, this is a tax increase, which has created this uproar of look at what this is going to impose on the property owners. And I want to put on record.
That was a mandate of the state.
That is a mandate of the state, but there is zero impact on homeowners and renters. This is not a homeowner property tax. Let me repeat, no homeowner property tax.
And no sales tax.
No sales tax. This is a tourist tax. Guess what? That tourist tax, that hot tax, hotel occupancy tax, let's take a $200 room. Maybe you and I can spend at a higher end or maybe not. $200 room at 1.75%. The current rate is $3.50. To go to the maximum by law to 2%, which all major cities already have and are using for their tourism industry, $200 is $4. So that's 50 cents a day. Now, some people go, how do you get millions of dollars? Well, guess what? There are millions of rooms used throughout the year. And so that use of the hotel occupancy tax goes to the revitalization of the east side and downtown. I see that the county venue tax is an opportunity to lay the foundation because I want to reform those Coliseum grounds to fulfill that commitment, that promise to the east side. What does that mean? That means that we have an opportunity to have a year-round rodeo industry. We have to make sure the Frost Bank stays viable and can bring in concerts or whatever. And we have then the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum that has all going. Why can't we reimagine the east side at those facilities so that it's, and you've been there, all it is concrete, it's asphalt, and it's barns with dirt floors. Why can't it be greened up? Why can't we put green space? Why can't we reform those buildings and make them multi-use? Why can't we bring in then restaurants, small businesses, anybody that wants to do business so that that facility then becomes a tourist destination, an economic generator? Why can't it become Pearl-like?
What you're proposing is that the grounds turn into a Swiss Army knife that you can do. You can have all sorts of events, not just the ones that we currently have, but now you can attract other events that we couldn't do before because you've changed the facility to being multi-use.
Spot on. And let's also put another vision, a reimagining of the east side that I would like to put on because I've put it on the table. The Willow Springs Golf Course across the street, that's right now just used really for the parking for the Spurs and for the golfers.
Right.
Why can't we reimagine that piece of property through a master development, public-private partnership that we could put a anchor economic generator like a hotel, like the Fort Worth Stockyards that has I believe it's a Marriott Drover is what they call it. Why can't that piece of property with the beauty of Salado Creek, improving that, using the golf course, why can't that become the next J.W. Merritt TPC? Why can't that become the next Hyde Hill, which will allow children and families to come to that particular area and stay? Go across the street to the county facilities that would have. Also, the rodeo has been very good about explaining when they bring events, people don't go one night, come in, come out. They stay the 3 to 4 days. They bring their horses, their trailer.
Right.
They bring the entire family because they have to stay there for those particular events. Think about the economic generation. Can we reimagine, Eddie, that if we could do this, remember those warehouses that prevents really any meaningful growth out there across where the Coca-Cola plant?
Yes.
With the economic incentives and the economic generation of tax dollars generated by that, how can I deindustrialize that area? What does that mean? I asked those property owners, hey, can I move you out and give you a really great new place down in another part of the county that will provide you more access and efficiency to move your commerce? But if we then can deindustrialize that area and then put in what the public really want, housing, hospitals, schools, businesses, restaurants, this is an opportunity to reimagine the East Side. Because what I've learned in this whole thing, the East Side has made it very clear there is much pain, anger, and anguish because of what they feel it was the failed promises. And as county judge, I want to put that all into a written contract with the city, the county, and the Spurs in order to achieve the revival. I put that as the first. That's the reason why referendum A is about the East Side. It's about the county facilities. And then whatever was left, Spurs, this is my contribution because I don't want you to leave town, and I give you great value as to what you give this community. That's the reason why I believe referendum Proposition A, referendum Proposition B are crucial element about growth.
This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to achieve what you're suggesting, something that is truly reimagining of that whole area, and to bring in the things that add value to daily life. Because right now, an architect will tell you there's daily life and venue life, and right now the only thing we have over there is venue life on the grounds. People are going for a game and then they're turning around and they're leaving, or they're going to the rodeo and going back home.
Right. And that to me is unacceptable because that's status quo. And if people feel that's, but I can tell you that does not resolve the anger and the anguish that the East Side have. You know what I hear from the East Side? It's not, well, how much money are we going to be given? What they're looking for is equal opportunity. They're looking for equal access. They're saying, how can we participate? And this is another opportunity, a game-changing opportunity. Guess what? 20 years ago in building the then it was the SBC AT&T, we guaranteed that the business contracts for the contractors and the small businesses, anything that supported the building of those facilities out there were going to go to local businesses. And that's a commitment I can make. And I can show you a track record because we still have the same person who did that, Renee Watson of our Small Business Entrepreneur Department of the county. We can make that a stipulation in a contract that all local businesses must give first preference and given the opportunity to compete and bid for that. And the county is there to make sure our small business, our women and minority-owned businesses are given the first chance, equal access, equal opportunity. I truly believe that's what our community is asking for. And I truly believe the game changing is not what the outcome is. It's the fact that we can come together and be unified as a community for a common goal. But we do have to put accurate information. We have to put accurate facts and figures out there, Eddie. So thank you for the opportunity to do this.
No, absolutely. I think, before I moved here from Austin in 2001. And to this day, locals still see their hometown as a big little city. And
that's why you don't badmouth people in this town.
That's right. And that's a great thing because of the closeness, the culture, and the camaraderie that we all share with each other. But I would think that it could also hamper the big picture thinking and to possibly overlook a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity like this. Right. And I think that we've seen an economic impact study of what the Spurs mean to San Antonio. What I've never seen, and I don't know that you could put a number to it, is what would be the economic impact of this city without the San Antonio Spurs.
Spot on.
And we have attempted to get an NFL team and have not succeeded. We've attempted to get a Major League Baseball, the Florida Marlins, and did not succeed there either. We competed against Austin and lost to Austin, a Major League Soccer team. And so
remember about the San Antonio Stars that just won a third championship as the Las Vegas Aces.
Oh, yeah. And
a lot of competition for these professional sports, and I hope the community will understand that we're dealing in an economic opportunity, but we're going to have to compete in the national and world market.
Well, because when you look at other cities like Oakland who have lost an NFL team, a baseball team, and a basketball team, and now have no teams, or cities like Las Vegas that are recruiting, teams left and right. Austin's right up the road. That some of the investor group from the Spurs are from Austin, so there's going to be competition for the Spurs if this doesn't pass.
No, for sure there's competition, but I want to make it perfectly clear that the Spurs have not used that as a leverage on the county. To me, as county judge, I met with Peter John Holt when this discussion came out like I said it did.
Right.
And you know what? Peter John Holt said, we are not leaving. We're invested in this community. Look at the Rock at La Cantera. That was paid mostly with their own money. The county put in some money, but it was way, way more in proportion.
This is their practice facility that's up at La Cantera.
And, for them to put on the table now a package of nearly $2 billion, Eddie, this is the money that we're not given is what I call free money. I see this as a public-private partnership. And if there's one thing I've done as county judge is to recognize we need to bring in the private sector to work in hand with the public sector, meaning the government, local government. Local government is what is going to make things happen in this world, Eddie. We're dealing with some tough times. And we got some federal policies, state laws that sometimes restrict us on a local level. But I see the ability to compete in the business world through this public-private partnership. And so I understand the public may not be able to understand that. Sometimes you got to go to get a college degree to kind of figure it out. But I think when people hear me explain it in the way I try to explain, it's about coming together. It's about coming together as a community. Can we perhaps agree to disagree? But can we also agree, let's vote on this referendum election based on the accurate facts, figures, and information. And I will respect whatever decision the voters go, and we'll adjust as to what will happen after that election. But we have a game-changing event, and I have a revision, a reimagining of what the East Side can look like.
And I don't think that story has been really told enough about the reimagining on the current site. There's a lot of focus on the Spurs, and justifiably so. You need to look closely at anything that's on your ballot and anything that costs money. You need to, give it the once over. But there's a lot of activity that's proposed on the Rodeo grounds, the Coliseum grounds, and the Frostbank Center grounds, and not to mention all the opportunity and the reimagining that you're talking about.
And let me also correct the record, Eddie. The use of the county venue tax, the tourist tax, not homeowner property tax, no sales tax, zero impact on homeowners and renters. But what that tourist tax is required by law, one, is an election, but two, it must be mandated for venues. That's been misinterpreted, and this is the law. Two is the second element of the law concerning county venue tax. It must be tourism economic development. What does that mean? I can't use it, and it will not be used for housing. It will not be used to
drainage.
Go drainage and streets, more police officers, whatever else I understand. But with growth, economic growth, what these referendums bring to the community, I then can come back and we can build on it. Guess what? If I can deindustrialize that east side, I am committed to put affordable housing because that's what our urban core, those school districts, San Antonio ISD, Harlandale, Edgewood, South San, they need children and families to come back to the urban core. Because Eddie, that's a whole political issue of public finance. But without increasing enrollments, the prognosis for those school districts, oh boy, we'll be dealing with that as we come along.
So currently, the hotel motel tax or the hotel occupancy tax is 16.75%. So the first 6% goes to the state of Texas, and then the next 9% goes to the city of San Antonio. So that last little 1.75 is your venue tax.
That's my county venue tax for which we have to have an election.
And so you're only going from the current 1.75 up to 2, and that's as high as you can go.
That's the max allowed by law, and all major cities are utilizing that 2% hotel occupancy tax to build their urban core. And so let's not forget, Eddie, that the city residents are also county residents. And so sometimes we silo ourselves and say, well, that's the city, that's the county. I've chosen to look at this as this is an opportunity for the east side, for the downtown city residents, and for the economic growth that a possible sports and entertainment district will create and what the revitalization of the east side can create by us reimagining and thinking out of the box. And I would hope the public will understand that to the best of their abilities. And that's the reason why I'm here today.
I know the county system is ready for early voting coming October 20th.
Yes, we're good to go.
Okay. And the election day is November 4th.
Yes, early voting starts Monday, October 20th, and will run to October 31st.
Okay. And where do you see let me rephrase this. If you could give one final message to Bexar County voters to understand what's at stake here, what would that message be?
We have, a game-changing opportunity to revitalize our community, more specifically the east side, that has been ignored and the promises that were not kept from the past. We have an ability to make sure that all residents, the east side, can continue to have equal access and equal opportunity to job growth, to jobs, to business opportunities. We have the ability to help a valuable community partner, the Spurs, that are a tremendous value to this community, which would be a tragic loss if we were to lose them and they were to leave town. We have a game-changing, once-in-a-lifetime, if we will look at the facts, assess it, and make those decisions based on the accurate facts, figures, and information. That's what's important for this discussion.
I follow the philosophy of Plato, who said, get involved in the political process or be governed by those who do, which is modern day we tell people you have no right to complain if you don't go and vote. Regardless of how you vote, you just need to go vote.
Can I say it a different way?
Absolutely.
Out of the great movie Shawshank Redemption, there's a line in there between Red and Andy Dufresne, which is either get busy living or get busy dying. Status quo is not the way to go.
That is so true. Judge Sakai, thanks for coming out. Thanks for sitting down and talking about this very important election, and we need to make sure everyone goes out to vote.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.